So Daniel, you're currently number 5 in the Skool Games. You personally are turning over 30K a month, and you're doing so in a very non-traditional way. Most people, when we think about making money online, it's like a big high energy, like influencer, like popping up on all the social media profiles. You've managed to get to where you are without showing your face, without producing content, and so we're honored to have you here in the flesh, showing your face, and having a chance to talk to you one-on-one, man. Tell us a little about your journey so far and how you've been able to do all this.
Yeah, well, like you said, there's a lot of influencers and content creators now, but there's very few people doing what I'm doing, and that's why there's such huge demand for it. But my journey actually started out as a content creator, as an influencer. Although it doesn't look like it, I've been an entrepreneur for a decade. So I started public speaking when I was just 9 years old. And like many kids my age, I dreamed of being an influencer, a celebrity, someone important, someone who has a lot of attention and influence. But I actually, unlike most kids, I actually chased after that dream. So I started public speaking and writing books. And by age 15, I was a award-winning public speaker. I was rated one of the world's top 100 most influential vegan activists. And then by 16, I had launched my second book. And then I was, at that point, a 2-time best-selling author. So I was very accomplished as an influencer, and I amassed a pretty big following. On Instagram, I had around, I think it was maybe 15K at its peak and a few thousand on YouTube too. So I wasn't like a huge online influencer, but I was a very big influencer when it comes to actual in-person events. I was traveling all around the world, and it kind of became my life for a while. And then COVID hit, and that all got shut down. And I was kind of reaching a point in my life where I realized that this whole grind and this being an influencer thing isn't really all it's cut out to be. And because I was completely broke. On the surface, it looked great. I had all the influence. I looked very successful, but I had no money. Traveling was extremely expensive. Writing and selling books is extremely expensive. There's shipping costs, there's printing costs, there's editing costs. Plus, it took me like 3 years to write it. So at the end of the day, I really wasn't left with much. I had like a few $1,000s in my bank account. I would have been better off working a minimum wage job. That's how bad it was. So what I did was I just completely cut it all out of my life. So I completely abandoned social media. I stopped posting. I uninstalled all the apps, TikTok, everything, just completely cut it out of my life because I'm like, this is bad. It's damaging my brain and it's an addiction. And more importantly, I'm not moving towards success. I'm not moving towards achieving financial freedom. So I cut that out of my life and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try everything I can to achieve financial freedom for myself online. I want to be able to travel around the world. I want to be able to, do the kind of work I want to do when I want to do it. And I want to not be restricted to one geographical location because of a job. So that was my mission at that point in my life, was like, how do I figure out how to do this? What do I do? So what I did was I started investing in mentorship. I started trying things out on my own, trying to figure it out. When I was younger, I was like, these coaches aren't really that great. I can Sure. figure it out on my own for free.
Waste of money. Anyone who buys these things are idiots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll figure it out on my own. It can't be that complicated. I'll just try to reverse engineer what they do. But what I realized was that there's a lot on the back end that I can't reverse engineer that I didn't know about. And so I'm like, I need some help here. And that's when we bumped into Ted Carr, who I'm actually doing the Skool Games with. And we used to buy, when I was 3 years old, we used to buy fruit from him. He had a business where he was selling fruit. So we knew him like way back. And I was really young at the time, but 10 years had passed and we hadn't heard from him. We hadn't seen him. And then out of the blue, my mom bumps into him at the gym. And then, so we invite him over for dinner and Ted starts explaining. My dad actually asks him the only question men ask other men, what do you do for work? So what happened is he starts explaining what he's doing and how he is helping other people start their own business from scratch, just like he did in the vegan niche. And as he was describing his business, I'm like, this is what I'm missing. I need someone to hold my hand. I need someone to guide me through this, because he figured it out. He figured out how to make money online. He figured out how to achieve financial freedom. And not only that, after he figured it out, he's proven that it works for other people too. So
Gandalf literally shows up to your kitchen table and you're like, all right, we're about to start a trilogy. Let's go, guys.
So I'm like, yeah, I need to get on this. And at first I was a little hesitant because I didn't have much money at the time. But what I did was I was willing to take that leap of faith, and I was a little bit skeptical, but I started hanging out with Ted a bit more, and I started actually seeing. Like at first, I'm like, yeah, there's no way this guy at the time, I think he was making $60K a month. I'm like, there's no way someone makes that much money in a month. And then, that night he showed me, let me drive around in his car, and it's the first time driving a Tesla. Actually, first time driving any car. Ended up buying the car after because it was such an amazing vehicle. But anyway, it's just like $90,000 car, and then we go shopping, and this guy buys one bottle of juice and he likes it, so he buys $300 worth of it, their entire stock. And I'm like, no no person on normal income would spend like this. Or like we saw an ad for a cool belt. He's like, okay, let's buy it. And I'm like, this is fucking amazing. I need to have this level of income. I need to figure out how to have this sense of freedom where I can just decide in the moment I want this and then instantly do it, not have to think for years or plan for this big trip. Just do it. And so I'm like, this is the freedom that I've been longing for. And so what I did was I took my life savings of $5,000 at the time, and I invested it in coaching with Ted. I went all in, and he started to teach me the inner workings of business, a lot of the how to become a successful content creator, because he was a master at it, still is one of the best in the field. And so I learned about that, and I learned about how to become an even better online influencer, which was really inspiring, but it wasn't the kind of work that I wanted to do because I had done that already for years. And I, honestly, after being an influencer for a little while, I just didn't want to be in the public image. I didn't really want to have my face online too much. I just kind of wanted to be the behind the scenes guy. And I'm like, the behind the scenes guy gets to still make fantastic money, but he doesn't have to show his face. He doesn't have to make content all day. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. So he started teaching me about business operations, like how you can outsource things and set up systems in businesses to automate sales processes. And I'm like, this is my jam. I gotta master this. And so basically, I came up with a plan with Ted that I was going to reach out to influencers, team up with them, and find people who are really good at making content, really good at just coaching people and delivering value, and people who exclusively wanted to do that all day, like people who just loved making content. Team up with them and handle everything else. Basically, take their content, and my number one focus is how do I make them the most money possible? Kind of like a very, male, very like focus on the dollar approach. Not how do we change lives, how do we make as much money as possible? And although it comes across as like a very greedy approach to have a guy who's got that mindset, when you team that up with someone who's just focused on helping people, dude, ultimately that's a deadly combo. Because when you have someone who's just focused on helping people, they're not really going to slay at business. Yeah, they're going to change a lot of lives. Yeah, they're going to get a lot of views. But when you combine that with someone who's just focused on how do we make as many sales, how do we make as much money with this content, it creates a very powerful combination. And so that's what I did. I'm like, okay, I got to find these influencers. I got to make this happen. I started really networking. And although it was tricky to get over my fear of not only, networking in person, but also taking on a business and making them an offer and then being responsible for their sales, I was able to eventually get over those fears by making them irresistible offers that they just couldn't resist, where it was no risk for them. And after a few years of doing that and rinsing and repeating, I was able to get to a point where I had enough influencers under my belt to where I'm making $30K a month now, and I don't need to show my face online. And the time-consuming part is setting up these systems and freeing up their time and automating the sales processes. Once it's set up, it just needs to be maintained, which really doesn't take much time throughout the day. So I have a lot of freedom, and the ability to scale with this system is really incredible. Like if you want to scale with many other businesses, you might need to hire more staff, and it's a tricky process. Whereas with me, if I want to scale, I take on a new influencer, or I just refine the processes I've already set up. So it's very easy. And if I want to have more time, I can just continue to maintain the influencers I already have.
I mean, it's super interesting. And a big shift that's happened for me recently, and this is a Dan Sullivan thing, he talks about that entrepreneurs exist in the results economy. The rest of the world, they live in the effort economy. So it's like, I need to put in 100 hours a week and sweat and cry and wet myself, to make minimum wage or whatever it is. Whereas someone like you, it's like, no, I produce results. and I can produce massive results for the influencers that I work with. And that doesn't mean that I have to put in a huge amount of effort. Whereas if, and I've resonated with what you're saying, I'm more of a creative CEO, to use your language type. And the thought of like sitting down to do the systems, oh, dude, it kills me. It would take me 100 hours a week. Whereas someone like you, perfect combination, and you can just absolutely run with it. And the other thing is, as you say, there's plenty of starving artists out there in the world. There's plenty of starving creators, people who are so value based, so mission driven, so purpose driven, have amazing things to say, have amazing stories, but actually there's a COO shaped hole in their life. And that's exactly what you guys have come in to fill. So tell us a little bit about your community and what's working for you and what we can learn from you.
Yeah, so the community, we really wanted to create a special place with Skool, because I find that, especially, you know, with my area of expertise, the kind of work that I've done, there really hasn't been a platform like Skool until now, and that's why I think it's gained so much traction. Something that just makes it a lot easier to deliver quality content, quality coaching to your influencers, followers. So this has just been an amazing platform. And when we saw the challenge, I approached Ted and I'm like, let's do something really cool here. Why don't we create a program where you can handle the influencers, the CEOs, and then I'll handle the COOs, and I'll help basically anyone who wants to become a chief operator and help an influencer and make money without showing their face, and make money with just a few hours a day of work once everything is set up. I'll coach them. And then because they're all in the same community, it creates this beautiful combination where we now have vetted influencers who are getting coaching from the best in the industry. And then we have qualified COOs that can now team up, and it's within a community, so they don't need to travel to masterminds like I had to. So it makes it easy, it makes it effortless, and also the best part about what we've created in the mastermind is it's hand-holding, because everything is customized towards the individual. You get private access to me, you get private access to Ted. So anytime you have any question, you can ask us. And that, to me, like as far as coaching goes, to hear an automated course where someone's telling you what to do is great, but to actually have someone who's helping you as you're dealing with problems within the business is priceless. The amount of, like, because business is solving problems. You got, okay, so how do I optimize this to save time? Or what's going on with my landing page? Why isn't it converting? To figure that out on your own as a beginner is really challenging. But when you can send it to a guy like me who's done hundreds of landing pages and managed millions of ad spend, that I can look at the landing page. I can go, okay, the headline needs work, or the image needs to be refined, or you got to completely throw this out and redo it. Here's how I would do it. Keep things simpler. So that's priceless. And so we wanted to make it a very like intimate community, something that's very, very individualized. And so that's what we did. And it's been incredible so far. People have been loving it. And yeah, that synergy where we can actually pair the influencers and the COOs within the community is very powerful.
And that's the game changer. And that's why, as you say, like the Skool community is like way more powerful than just like this static course. Because it's the bringing of people together is like the super valuable thing. And I love how you guys, you took two opposite puzzle pieces and you just went, boop. So what advice do you have for people listening who already have their own Skool community? Like, talk to us about funnels and how you guys use Skool and how you guys are able to drive sales through that. Because I think your approach is really unique.
Yeah, so what we've been doing is we've been doing a lot of live webinars. So they're basically the way we like to sell is by just providing incredible value for free. And then you don't need to be pushy, you don't need to be salesy. People naturally want your help to implement the value that you've given them, because they go, okay, this is amazing. I'm not going to do this on my own. I need some guidance. And so that's the approach we've taken as far as the sales go. And then also a lot of like every sales program or every coaching program out there, they're always like, they're trying as hard as they can to sell people. And so we've tried to take kind of a reverse psychology approach, like the opposite of what everyone else is doing, and say, you can only enroll if we've decided you're a good fit. It's invite only. And so taking that approach has not only made the community a really beautiful space because we're only letting in quality people and we don't let in anyone who we don't think is a good fit. But it's also made people realize that we're not just here to make as much money as possible. We're here to actually help. And so that combination with the live webinar with extreme value has been kind of our go-to. And so we've just kind of been marketing, promoting this live Zoom webinar. And then I've been sharing how I've been using the COO method to make money, the steps I took to get there. And then if people want our help to implement on it, they can join the community, and not just implement on it. Like a lot of programs out there, they'll have a process you can kind of follow on your own. But with us, we're actually providing quality vetted influencers who are getting really good coaching to level up their game that you can team with. And it's very powerful team up with. It's powerful to have a good influencer. Like if you have an influencer who doesn't know what they're doing, who isn't making good content, you're not going to be a successful COO. Your influencer has to be really good. And so when we have a group of vetted influencers and we're going to help you connect and pair with one, it's extremely valuable because it kickstarts their success. They don't need to spend months like I did going to events hoping they'll find a good influencer. They can just go online within the community and they'll have one.
Why do you think Skool as a system works for you guys? Because there's lots of systems out there. We talk about them all the time. We talk about Kajabi, we talk about this, we talk about that. Talk to me about leverage and Skool.
I think the benefit of Skool is it's designed by influencers, by coaches, for coaches and influencers. And that makes it very powerful. I've experimented with these other services and I've just ended up building my own sort of, platform.
Frankenstein.
With most of the influencers, and it's not great, but it works. But with Skool, it's just so much better because you guys have the resources to make it the best platform possible. And what I really like about it, like so far, I haven't come across a single feature in Skool that I don't like. It's just so focused and designed for coaches. And it does such a good job at that. Not only the community, it's so intuitive, it's so well thought out. Like most community, to make a good community, it takes a lot of work, and most communities suck. Like we use Telegram communities with some of my influencers, and it's brutal because people will join and they'll go, "What did I miss?" There's like 100 different messages, and I've been part of Telegram communities too, and it's like, "What's going on here?" So it's so confusing. And then Facebook is Facebook. I've heard a lot of horror stories of people getting banned for no reason, or it's a platform design. It's a social media platform. It's not focused. It does an okay job with its groups, but with Skool, there's a beautiful synergy between community and also an ability to have classrooms, to have pre-recorded content, and then it's very optimized. Like it has everything that I need. And what I like about Skool is it's pretty much all you need on the program delivery side. It's like the one tool that has everything you need. Whereas what I've been doing before Skool is I'd have to, pull a bunch of systems together, hope that nothing interferes with the code, like none of the code interferes. And then if something stops working, and sometimes, these systems, they release updates and it throws everything off. So to have it all in one system, it saves a lot of time, a lot of headache. It makes things easier. And then also it's the most important part. It's easy for the clients.
Right.
Like when you have a bunch of different systems, now when people enroll, you got to go, okay, you want to go to Telegram here and then download this. There's going to be a password to a website, save this link. And then there's going to be another password here. You're going to want to go there. And then the content's on this site. And it's like, it's so confusing. It's like, what do I do? Where do I start? With Skool, it's one place. And so it's so easy for the clients too. And that's the biggest priority, like, because we can have a lot of systems that are great for us to use, but if they're not easy to use for the clients, it's not going to make money and they're not going to want to stick around. So, but to have a platform that's got both, it's a miracle. It's amazing. So I've been loving it so far. I'm pretty new to the platform. Like I've been using it since the beginning of this challenge, but I know Ted's been using it for quite a while, since the launch, I think. And he's been loving it. I think he also went over there to the headquarters and was given some suggestions too, and seeing how it all works. And I think, it's an amazing platform. I'm excited to see. I know you guys are just getting started. I'm excited to see where it goes from here, and I think it's gonna dominate the industry.
Absolutely. Final question, Daniel. What advice would you give to people who are like just starting off their community? So they've just joined Skool, or they're on the fence about it, and they want to make a big impact using Skool as their tool of choice, what sauce can you give them?
So if you have no following, you're brand new to this idea of business, maybe you're working a 9 to 5 still, you want to use Skool to make money, then first off, great choice on the platform. And second off, I would definitely team up with an influencer. I would team up with someone who loves making content, who can devote all day to delivering value for free and also in a paid community, and just team up with them so that you can not only leverage their audience that they already have, you can leverage the audience, redirect it into the Skool community to make money, and then just take a cut. But you can also help them grow their audience and implement systems to save them time so they can continue to invest more time into making content. I think that there really isn't anything more powerful than good collaborations in business, especially with someone who can really just be the face of a brand. And there's an endless supply of influencers. Social media has made the influencer a cool, trendy topic. To be the behind the scenes guy, it isn't sexy until you realize how good of a life it is. And then you never want to become an influencer. But it's the reality is there's so many people who are so skilled at making content who just don't like the back end work. And they might have an amazing audience already that you can sell to and tap into. They just haven't done that yet because they're just busy making content, and maybe they hate the back end work. And if you love the back end work and you think that you could pick up the skills fairly easily, like it doesn't take too much. Like, you don't need to be a genius to figure this out. I started this when I was 16, 17. You can do this if you're just starting out. You've never used a website builder before. It doesn't matter. As long as you're able to use like a new software without getting overwhelmed, then you have what it takes. Like that, and then also persistence, and you should be good. So to start out, you don't need a following. You don't need endless hours a day. You don't need to even know what to sell. You don't even need to know any valuable information that you could deliver. Like, you don't need to create any content. So you don't need to do any sales. You don't need to be a good salesperson. You don't need any of this. You just need to be able to help an influencer tap into their audience to generate revenue. That's it. That's the one skill you need. And if you want to learn how I did it, I do have a webinar recording. I don't know if you want to.
Of course. I'll
plug in the link.
I'll put it in the description. Yep.
Yeah. So it's contentpreneurs.net/yes. And then you'll be able to it's a 16-minute video, and I break down exactly what I did, the 4 steps I took to become a COO. And then I hope that helps you out too. And then also, if you want to join the mastermind too and actually pair with an influencer, then that's also a really great way to get started, and probably the fastest way, at least that I'm aware of. We basically designed it to be the perfect program to start your COO journey, and there's really nothing else out there like it. So yeah, those are my 2 pieces of advice, because to give you the whole breakdown on how to get started with the few minutes we have left here, or the few seconds we have left here, wouldn't be intelligent. So go watch the training. That'll break it down for you, and then join the community if you want to fast track your success.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is why Daniel is currently number 5 in the Skool Games leaderboard. I love it, man. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to be on the show.